I am a contract worker who's hired to do a job. No different from these people with these cameras right here.
So who hired?
Hold on a second. I don't work for Mr. Kelly.
Joining me now is Darrell Jonhson, a publicist for R. Kelly.
Joining me now is R. Kelly's former crisis manager, Darrell Jonhson.
The person you should be addressing this to is Mr. Kelly and Mr. Kelly's attorney.
I went back to, I said, I don't have R. Kelly kind of money. Because he's like, yeah, because I make R. Kelly, I make $100,000, this, that, with Bob Kraft and all of this.
I have not been paid one dime. I foot my own way. I do my own thing.
He is very lucid with information about their life, about their business.
If you got the resources, you use your resources.
He was like, I have people killed.
And when I saw the flyer, I said to myself, I fucking knew it.
Oh, you're not gonna give me this $50,000, but you're not gonna walk out of here and not give me anything.
We have reached common ground. We're gonna break some bread here, make up. We've been long life friends anyway, all right? We've been all right.
One of the guys said, well, his mom and dad have been on life support for 5 years. I said, and they brought out pictures where he sent them or the dad or the mom. Literally, it's the most gross thing. Like, he's showing pictures of somebody's mama and daddy.
You resigned from R. Kelly's team,
Right.
citing personal reasons.
Right.
We never really heard what happened. Did R. Kelly fire you?
Okay, so let me tell you what happened. My mother had a massive stroke.
So I met Darrell Jonhson in 2015.
Okay.
And I met him through a mutual acquaintance. Just, a guy that was businessman, as is kind of how he, approached us, businessman. Just, hey, you looking to do some investments? Are you looking to, do some business? And, just see what happens.
What was his initial pitch to you?
So his pitch was initially, hey, I can change your life. I can help you. I've been able to do A, B, and C in business over the last few years. But it was initially a real estate deal. As a young kind of entrepreneur.
How old were you at the time?
At that time, I was 27.
Okay.
27.
Okay.
And, he made the pitch like, hey, I have a real estate deal that you can make a lot of money in. Would you be interested in investing? So I knew a couple of people that had done some business with him previously that I met, through a mutual acquaintance. But from what they told me and from everything that I came to find out to know of him, like everything went well with those transactions. So, I decided to give it a shot, so to speak, which, unfortunately it was a situation.
When did you first start to get like the, red flags like kind of went off?
So Darrell has always been a very flamboyant, very loud and assertive type of individual, which initially I tried to see the good in the situation, but that was a red flag to me at first. Just, loud, flashy, very much so wanting to be the center of attention, so to speak. But after, a couple of weeks of us having dialogue back and forth, and then just him started to have stories that were inconsistent, that was when it started to kind of red flag, like something isn't right. He would give dates and timelines of certain things that happened, certain paperwork and things that would need to be signed, need to be moved. Never happened. Never manifested itself.
How much did you give him?
I gave him about $40,000.
27 years old, 40K. Do you know the average 27-year-old don't have that type of money? Yeah. Wow. Okay. Let's fast forward to R. Kelly. What was your initial reaction when you looked up on your TV or on your phone and you saw his ass with R. Kelly
After I laughed, I couldn't believe it because he changed his look.
Oh,
okay. He changed his look. He did not look the same. Like he's always had this mohawk, frohawk thing going on. But then when I saw him on TV with the R.Kelly trial, he had like some dreadlocks or something going on. Mm-hmm. So, but initially when I saw it, I said, oh man, he's about to pull off the scam of the century. That's initially what I said, because I knew that in order for him to get to that position, he had to have lied, cheated, and scammed his way to make it there.
Well, I can probably tell you what happened. See, once he sat with Gayle King, you notice like the very next day he was gone. Because what happens is when a person that has that type of history sits on television, calls are made. He's out.
One of the things to me that is interesting about all of this is the fact that Darrell never thinks that he's wrong about anything, right? So you can catch him red-handed. I mean, you can catch him in a lie, you can catch him with inconsistent stories, and there's always a loophole, or there's always like an escape hole for him to try to work his way out of. And, you know, with myself, he said he had access to this high condominium property in the Galleria area, right? They're renovating 2 floors of this condominium, and he can purchase those 2 floors. And so I know that during that particular time, there's about 2 or 3 other people that he was dealing with and taking money from. One of the guys that I had met through him, I think he said he was probably in about $80,000. And so, you know, for myself, when I had a conversation with that individual, he made it seem to me like, okay, yeah, I've invested money with Darrell and it's went good. I've been getting paid back in return and things like that. So, you know, I felt a little bit comfortable, so to speak, because he had kind of shown and had some proof of it. But, you know, being a young entrepreneur at that time, like, I mean, things were going pretty good. Like I was doing pretty well for myself, but at the same time, I'm still green, still young, trying to, learn the ropes. And I kind of trusted him, and visibly, he had the flashy cars and, he had the jewelry and, dress and all that type of stuff. He looked the part, right? So it kind of gave me a little bit of confidence to say, okay, well, you know what? I can place my money with him and he's gonna help it to turn fold.
Did you give him the $40,000 without paperwork? It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not.
I did give him $40,000 without paperwork.
Okay. It's no different than when you see a crooked pastor like talking everybody out of their bail money on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you got to put this money towards taking care of your kids and your house, and he goes off to take the money to pay for his various women cars. It's the same thing. The only difference is what he's doing is legal. It's a 501c3. But what Darrell is doing is it is one of the highest blue collar crimes there is in America. And he gets serious time.
Yeah. I don't think, I think that he has some type of hormonal imbalance in his mind because he doesn't believe that what he's doing is wrong, and he's a professional.
That's called a narcissist.
He is a professional. I mean, I'm talking about the stories from what he told me as other victims started to come forward. They repeat the exact same story, word for word, situation for situation. And, I even at one point in time, I had a Rolex watch. He got the Rolex watch from me. He said that he knew this guy that was a jeweler that owned a jewelry store, and that, hey, that Rolex watch only cost $10,000, but it's got $25,000 worth of parts. Let's take it over here to my buddy and he's going to scrap it, man. And, we'll get you together. So at that time, I wasn't really thinking, didn't really know any better. Well, I gave him my Rolex watch, right? And he took it, never seen it again.
Excuse my French. I know we're gonna cut this, but this is a crooked ass nigga, like for real. Just looked at your watch, made up a story to get the watch off your wrist.
And he leans back in his chair and he says, "Give me your sunglasses." I said, "What?" I had on some nice frames. He said, "Give me them sunglasses." Because to me, it felt kind of like, oh, you're not going to give me this $50,000, but you're not going to walk out of here and not give me anything.
See, I enjoy oral sex, but to be honest, some of my experiences have been not pleasing due to lack of proper vaginal hygiene. I went down on this chick once, and the yoni was so good and fresh. It took me on like a whole nother level of just pleasure. So at that moment, I had to stop and ask, "What are you using?" And she told me, "Embrace Pangea Feminine Wash."
We all know that a fresh yoni brings on a whole new level of confidence, so visit embracepangea.com, and of course, I got my winos covered for a discount, so use the coupon code TASHAK for 10% off your first order.
How long did it take you to recover? After you gave him the $40,000.
Man, I think it probably took me, well, physically, it didn't take me long.
Okay.
Mentally, it took me long.
Okay.
You know, as an entrepreneur, like, you know, you're fighting always constantly to try to figure out what's happening next to work, you know. And, you know, like I said, I was in a good space. I was in a good place at that time. So the money wasn't detrimental, but at the same time, the drainage behind me having to go back and forth and through all these hoops, the mental, you know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah. But it took me about a year before I said, you know what, okay, I'm going to get off of this. But what I did do was I did get a lawyer, and that didn't happen until probably like year 2. And that's when I had other people that had reached out to me, and like we all kind of had the same story. So I ended up getting a lawyer in like year 2. That was a complete joke, waste of time. I probably spent, I don't know, another $10,000 to come up with nothing from there. And then after that point, it was like I lost all faith in the, what do you call it? The system, so to speak, just because it was just prime example. Like you can go swindle somebody out of that money and nothing's going to happen to you. We went back and forth to court, you know, for, I don't know, maybe been like 2 years or something.
Did he show up?
He didn't show up. As a matter of fact, we went to court back and forth. The whole process was probably like 1.5 to 2 years. Didn't show up. They kind of reset a couple of the court dates and stuff like that. And then finally, when they came to the last, I guess you say the last court date is when the judge actually, he ruled a judgment against Darrell, which win for me in my favor. And I got a judgment for like, I don't know, it's probably like $75,000, $80,000, but which is on file, it's on record with Harris County, but it's not worth nothing because he doesn't have anything.
Now, did you give him cash or did you wire it into an account?
Oh, I gave him cash.
Wow. Okay. I'm like picturing like this is my son, and I'm like, oh, like, yeah. Okay. Needless to say, you're not gonna stop fighting, are you?
My point behind me wanting to let the word get out, me wanting to bring light to the situation is not for myself, because honestly, like, I've been blessed to keep going, to do very well for myself, and to be in a completely different space in life. You know, I want to be able to help someone else to not be a victim, and to not have to go down the same road and the same path that I went down. as far as having somebody just basically take advantage, because not a lot of people can take a hit and take a blow like that and still pick up and keep going. For a lot of people, those type of blows are, you know, detrimental to everything.
Yeah.
You know, so honestly, I don't put much effort and much energy into anything to do with Darrell Jonhson anymore. Like, I'm off that. I've been off that. This happened like almost 6 years ago. But, you know, with a lot of people that have come up recently that have been scammed and conned out of their money, I just felt like, okay, you know, I'll do my part and I'll try to help out to at least shed light and bring awareness to the situation, because at the end of the day, you know, that matters, and that will help, you know, just me telling my story. I'm honestly surprised that he's still walking around, that he's still living at this point in time, because there's been some run-ins with some people that have wanted to do much more than get their money back, so to speak. And I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like what you do is going to catch up with you.
Oh, of course.
And so, you know, he's been very fortunate and very lucky to still be able to be free and to walk around like nothing has happened. But I just wanted to kind of do my part and shed light to let people know, kind of, you know, hey, this is what happened to me. Look out, watch out. Don't be a victim like I was. Be better than I was. Make smart decisions.
Did you ever confront him face to face?
Yeah, I confronted him a couple times. The only reason why something didn't happen at that moment in time is because I have a daughter. Okay. And my daughter is my pride and my joy. That's my world. That's who I live for. And I didn't want to do anything that was going to put me in a position to not be here for her. And I had gotten to a point to where I was feeling like that's what's getting ready to happen, because I got tired of being played with. I got tired of being lied to. And then at the same time, like, don't play with me and my money.
Yeah. Yeah. What was his reaction when you confronted him?
So it's funny because probably I got the runaround for like 2 months. I got the runaround for like 2 months. Call, no answer, text, I'll hit you back, I'm in a meeting, I'm out of town, you know, all this different type of stuff. Can I say first?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got so upset and I got so heated at one point in time, like I found out where he lived. Okay. Now,
I mean, you're well within your right. The stories I've heard.
Some stuff I don't want to say.
Yeah.
Okay. But I ended up tracking him down. And when I tracked him down, he was completely shocked to see me. And immediately, you know, it was backpedaling. It was, hey, it's not like that, you know, man. I'm going to pay you your money. I'm going to give you your money. All that type of stuff. And, you know, I told him, I'm like, look, okay, I'm not going to have no more conversations with you, because if I have another conversation with you, it's only going to be one person talking. And, you know, from that point, I remember him leaving. He was at an insurance company doing some business, and I had ended up finding him there. So I walked into that office, and when I walked into the office, the insurance lady was sitting across from the desk, and she looked like she had seen a ghost, because I was in such rage that finally I had a chance to catch up with him. Like, come on, man, let's go outside and let's go talk. So after we had our conversation, he ends up leaving from there, and he makes a phone call to a buddy of mine. And my buddy told me, he was like, hey, man, you know, Darrell's asking, like, what's going on, man? Like, are you thinking about something? Are you planning something? And I was like, look, I told Darrell, stop playing with me and stop playing with my money, because I'm tired of it. Like, if you're going to pay me, then pay me. If not, then just tell me you're not going to pay me. Just tell me you're not going to pay me, so I know what I need to do. Never heard nothing back from him. And he went missing. Like, he literally went missing. And over time, I had to like go and get isolated, because I was ready to just say screw the system. I was ready to like go off the deep end because I wanted what was mine. And you know, after that situation of me encountering with him, like I slowly started to just release and let it go and just not look back, because it was putting me into a place that I just did not want to be. And then it was affecting other things in my life too as well. You know, other businesses, other things that I have going on. Like I just couldn't focus because I was giving this so much time and so much attention. So yeah, I had to let it go. And I've been off of it for some years. But, you know, recently I had some people that reached out and that, you know, they were victims too, which it frustrated me. And when I saw him with the R.Kelly thing, I'm like, man, he's still out here. He's still at it. Like he's still at it.
Yeah.
Nobody has popped him one time.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to go. I found myself doing some pretty extreme things in regards to that whole situation.
Well, you know, that's how narcissists make you feel. They make you feel as if it's like you're doing something wrong, as if it's your fault. And so here you are trying to do the normal thing, get your money back.
Yeah.
And because he's toying with you, it's causing you to kind of question yourself, and then you're getting angry, and then it takes you into a different realm. I'm telling you, like, if you ever study narcissism, like, I'm telling you, he is grade A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Well, I'm glad you are still here for your girl, your baby girl.
I am. Like I said, I've been blessed to be able to bounce back, keep going. It was a hard lesson learned, but I would take the lesson that I learned in that situation of, you know, being smart, making good decisions, doing business the right way. And you know, just trusting the vibes, because most of the time when you have a vibe about something or somebody, you're right about it.
It's true.
You're right about it. And a lot of times us as people, we second guess ourselves and we don't give ourselves credit to say, you know what? I had that feeling and I need to trust that feeling. And for whatever the reason, sometimes we go against that. But most of the time when you have a feeling initially about something, like, you need to go with that feeling. And make sure that you investigate, like, why am I feeling like this? Because the signs were there, the red flags were there, but also too, like, just being embarrassed to say, man, you know what, I got. But for myself, I don't look at it so much as, yeah, I got. I look at it as it was a lesson that I learned that prepared me for the bigger opportunities that were going to come after that. And that was the only, really the motivating factor that I had for myself to keep pressing, to keep going. It's like, it's a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned. And, you know, over the years, like I said, I've been blessed. I've been fortunate to be able to make one hell of a comeback, bigger, better than before. God is good. And I think that, you know, he's allowed that situation for me to happen because of the opportunities after that I knew I needed to be ready for. But in that situation, I definitely have learned a different way to do business. You know, my vetting process and like my procedure and everything is it's exquisite. Like, I don't do anything, you know, just haphazardly anymore. Like, I do everything intentionally, very sharp, very keen.
Question. Your friend who told you about Darrell, was he in on it?
So, no, he wasn't in on it, because after some time, he ended up losing some money. But I had a conversation with him, and he told me that he didn't know exactly how things were unfolding in order to give me enough information to make a decision about doing business with him. Everything that he knew, he told me up front to whether or not I could make a judgment call to if I wanted to do business. Now, one thing that did happen was, once he realized, like, man, this dude is a crook, he's a scam. He said that, you know, he ended up was going to outsmart him at his own game, which he did. He ended up, making up some type of deal that he had an opportunity for, Darrell to make some money on. And really, he played the friend role with him. Like, he made Darrell feel like they were friends, they were good buddies, because at that point in time, there was a lot of different people coming after Darrell. There was a lot of different people on his neck about him owing them money. So, my friend, he kind of made him feel like, okay, you got an ally, like, I got your back, we're boys. But he created this deal, this business venture that, Darrell could invest some money into. And it was about $20,000. And he got Darrell to give him that $20,000, and he got the money, he kept it. And after that, he was done with him, because he knew, like, I'm not gonna get my money back. And I think he was probably in about $30,000.
Well, he retrieved, at least he was able to retrieve something back.
So yeah, he was.
But there's no telling who Darrell got that money from.
Yeah, so, my thing was, I had the same opportunity. I had the same kind of situation happen where I had met Darrell out one time at Starbucks, and we were talking about some business. And he pulled up on me, and he pulled out some money out of his pocket. He was like, "Hey man, I want you to take this money, man. Hold on to it for me." And at that time, like, we probably had just recently had our transaction exchange, probably like 3 weeks earlier. And he told me, like, yeah, typically, payouts or whatever are gonna be like 3 months, 90 days or whatever, stuff like that. So he pulled up on me. He had like $15,000. He gave it to me. And I held on to the money for a few days. And then he was like, when I call you, man, just bring me the money. I brought him the money, not knowing at that time, like, this dude is really a scam. Like, he's a con artist. It didn't start to register and resonate until some time later on. But had I would have known, I would have kept the money too as well, and at least gotten something back, but yeah, my friend, he did exactly what he felt like was best. He gave all the information up front as far as what he knew. At the end of the day, I'm a grown up, like, I made the decision, to do business, but, it definitely was a tough lesson to learn.
Okay. Well, thank you. The more y'all talk, the more pissed off I get, like, because I knew his ass was full of shit. I took one look at him when he was with R.Kelly, and I said, nah, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time,
Yeah, I mean, that dude, I mean, I'm telling you, like, the stuff that I have, like, there's so many people that have been victimized that haven't come forward, because a lot of people, like, they don't want the publicity, like, they don't want the negativity, they don't want the shame and the embarrassment.
There's no negativity with this, like,
but like, I know some people right now that he tried to steal, like, their entire company. He tried to get their articles of formation with, like, their LLC, and he tried to get, like, amendments done to take over the company. Like, it was a bunch of stuff, but they just didn't want to come out and let it be known. And the reason why I found out was just kind of because of mutual people that we know, conversation and stuff. But yeah, like, because
entrepreneurs, y'all,
it's a community.
Pretty much, it's a community, yeah.
It's a community. And, it's when you get into a certain space of doing business, you got to kind of be very particular about who you do business with, because that word travels, right? So, like, for myself, I wasn't doing business with Darrell Jonhson. I was a victim of Darrell Jonhson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think for a lot of people, they want to try to make sure that that's nowhere near in the equation of, man, hey, I'm not associated with him, because if you're associated with him, like, you're a scammer, you're a con artist, just like he is, And, out here in Houston, Houston is big, but it's small too as well, And at the end of the day, I had to make sure that it was known that, like, look, Richard Foy is a real businessman. I don't do business with Darrell Jonhson. I've never done business with Darrell Jonhson. I was a victim of Darrell Jonhson.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because going forward, it's like, people, they'll detach themselves from you. And I don't know who else he's messed over. But at the end of the day, you don't want to be associated with somebody else and be somewhere where somebody else is running up on you, somebody else is walking up on you, and they're like, Darrell Jonhson. You know what I'm saying? Because immediately when I hear that name, I already know, like, scam.
Okay. Are you working with the feds or the police?
I have not been reached out to. I have not contacted or talked to anybody, feds, anybody, police. You know, my thing is, if they catch me at the right time and I have some time to talk, I will, but I'm not actively going to go exert any energy or any effort outside of what I'm doing here right now, because like, I did all of that, you know, like I went through all that, all the court and all that type of stuff and trying to get my money back. Like, it's a joke. Okay.
Thank you.
Again, we have to let the facts take us where we go. And right now, you know what, I'm not really sure. I'm hearing a lot of stuff.
I was looking at some retail spots with another business partner of mine, and we were looking to open up a restaurant. And as the manager of the locations that we was at, she was showing us different lease spots in the shopping strip. Mr. Jonhson comes in and you know, kind of interrupted us as she was showing us a spot, and you know, he just out the blue, like he just came in with like he had a game plan, and apparently he was already trying to open up a restaurant in the same strip. So after he said, you know, when we finished talking, you know, he would like to speak to me and my business partner. So after he left and went out, and she kind of told us what was going on with him, and he was trying to open up a spot in the same strip, and apparently he had trying to open up a restaurant that he never got off the ground. I guess he was lacking money issues. And after that, well, after we finished talking, after she finished showing us a location, we went to walk out, and we was actually gonna get in our cars and leave. And here he came across the parking lot again. And he stopped us before we got in the car and kind of gave us his pitch about what he was trying to do. So it was, it's really a long back end story on the situation, but he kind of gave his pitch. I had just recently lost my mom, probably about a few weeks right before I met him.
My mom was literally murdered by MD Anderson. I said, and I've been looking for an attorney. I need somebody that can help me find someone that's really credible to represent us. He said, well, I can do it. I do crisis intervention.
My mother had a massive stroke.
And when he come across the parking lot, and my mother values, you know, I come from a real deep Christian home. So, you know, my mother, she eat, sleep, drink, going to church. And with me recently losing my mother, he comes across the parking lot and he says, the Lord sent me across this parking lot to talk to you. So when he said that, he made me stop and listen. So I stopped and listened to what he had to say. And I can see he was a fast talker, but he gained my attention by saying that, you know, that the Lord sent him across the lot with me just losing my mom. And so, long story short, me and my business partner, we talked about the situation, and we put a contract together and whatnot. And I invested $30,000, and my business partner, he invested $30,000 as well to go into partnership with him. And that's how I met him. That's how it all started. That quick.
Wow. So you were vulnerable at the time?
Very, very vulnerable.
Okay. And do you think, like, I know you said he was already there, I guess, trying to get a business off the ground.
Right.
Do you think he was there just scoping or just watching you? Do you really think he was there actually looking for a place that he could not afford? Or do you think he was actually there targeting you, watching individuals get out the car and him zoning in on who's the most vulnerable?
I definitely think that's what he was doing. It was pretty obviously that's what he was doing, because he was stuck. You know, he started something that he didn't have the money to finish. So he just kind of preyed upon people watching, seeing. He knew the manager very well. So I'm assuming when he saw her, he knew that she was showing different locations in the strip center. And because the timing was too perfect.
He literally lives in a home 3 blocks from where I live and that I ride my bicycle by, was riding by every day.
So you and your business partner, you have 30,000, he has 30,000. Did your business partner ever have any just kind of, I'm taking it back, let me think about this more? Was he hesitant, like when you came to him and brought Mr. Darrell Jonhson to propose a triple business deal?
Well, we were actually together. Me and my business partner, we was on scene together. So when he approached us, he approached me and him together.
Okay.
I didn't take the story to him and tell him about it. He was there with me the whole time.
And he was like convinced as well,
Well, we were both skeptical.
Okay.
But with us being in control of the contract, it was a concrete contract. It was notarized by my bank. We were comfortable with the contract and the legal expertise that we had that helped us with the contract. So I wouldn't have never personally jumped into a business with someone like that. That's not the way I go about doing business with people, just random people.
Okay.
But I always go back, whenever I talk about this situation, I always go back, he called me at the perfect time when I just lost my mother, and his words was, the Lord sent me across the parking lot, which is a classic scam when you think about it. And he didn't know I just lost my mom, But, what I've picked up about Darrell Jonhson, he's good at reading people. He can kind of tell through simple conversations if you may be a religious person or, he get a feel for what type of background that you may have come from. And he can use that against you to get what he wants. And of course, I picked a lot of things up over time by just studying him, his word choices and him listening to other people, and then he respond. So he's very good at reading people to know what direction he need to come at you to scam you. And I can tell immediately when he said, the Lord sent me across this parking lot, how my body language just changed. And it made me stop to at least listen to what he had to say, So me and my business partner, we felt comfortable about the deal. Everything about the restaurant was the way we wanted to do it. And we had the contract. It's a very solid contract. And so that's what made us feel comfortable about it. And plus, we was looking at the expense that we would have had to cut to just do it on our own, on what he halfway started.
So what was his, you guys were fronting the money. What was Mr. Darrell Johnson's role?
Well, he actually, in this particular location, he started something that he didn't have the money to finish. And not only later did I find out that the guy who he had that started building out the inside of the restaurant, he promised this guy a certain percentage of the restaurant as well. It was a Hispanic gentleman. Darrell, he was, of course, he was the majority owner of the restaurant. We didn't come in as an investor. We came in as a business partner.
Okay.
So he was majority owner, percentage-wise, of the business. His role was no different than our role, except for he had a larger percentage. So he kind of normally have a last say so, but he has to take in our thoughts or whatever we want to, predictions or whatever we have with the restaurant.
Okay.
But it's something that he started, and we stepped in as business partner to complete the restaurant, to really get it up off the ground.
Okay. When did, you notice, after you guys had decided to go in business with him, when did things start going bad?
Well, things started going bad immediately. We first had the grand opening. I had a friend of mine that was in the marketing business, so I handled a lot of the marketing side of it to make it a a big thing for the grand opening. And right after that first month of the grand opening, things started going bad. He started denying access to the books, showing the revenue and things of that nature. We know opening up a restaurant, the first couple of months, you got to put the money back into the business.
Right.
But when he started trying to block the books, block us from seeing the finances of the restaurant. But what really turned things around was he wanted to force the business partner that I brought on board with us. He wanted to force him out the business. He wanted to pretty much say that his contract was fraudulent. And I don't know why he would think that I would go against this person that I brought in with us. I convinced him that, the contract is solid. We can do it together. And I don't know why he would try to convince me to put someone out that I had a personal relationship with. It just didn't make sense to me. So that's when things really started going bad, when he was trying to convince me to do that. So of course I told the other business partner about it. I don't want to say his name without his acknowledgement, but of course I told him about it. So we both kind of knew what we were dealing with. Mm-hmm. And we both tried to stay the course because we knew we was going to get in a situation with him where it was going to be an issue. And if we just try to hold tight together, and once he break that contract, we knew it would be a legal problem. So
it was ultimately a total of $60,000.
Yes.
That he took.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So how did the restaurant partnership, how did it end up being dissolved?
Well, it kind of went downhill very quickly.
Like how long after you guys opened?
I would say within 3 months after we opened.
Okay.
When you start going through all of the issues, the blocking of the books, not allowing me and the other business partner names to be added to the account of the restaurant, the ball had moved fast when we opened up this business. When I think about it and I look back, everything that shouldn't have been done from a business standpoint was done. And, my thinking was the contract was solid enough to protect us from certain things. Mm. But he's the type of person, it doesn't matter what type of contract you have. None of that, he has no morals or, it's no line that he won't cross. And that was kind of shocking to me because this is a solid contract that was notarized by the bank. There's a trail, it's a money trail. It's not like you can lie your way out of this or say someone off the street just hand you $30,000 and say, hey, I'm a business partner. This was a professional business contract that was put together. So after those first 3 months, when books are being blocked, it was an issue with him adding both of our names on the business account. That became an issue. And then on top of him trying to push the other guy out, that was an issue. And then so when all this came to a full-blown picture, it got to the point to where we had to start seeking legal options, as far as taking him to court and things of that nature. And so that's when everything pretty much came to an end. And at the same time of going through that process, I found out that it was other people that thought they had a percentage of this restaurant that he took money from. Another guy was already suing him for $20,000 that he took from him. And this person was supposed to have like a 5% ownership of the restaurant. And I found this all out going from my attorney at the time.
How many business partners did he have?
My understanding with me, him, and the partner that I brought on, I found out about 2 other people that supposedly had some interest in this restaurant.
Wow.
2 other people. And the contract that we had was solid. Like it was only us 3. We couldn't bring no one else in without, you know, sitting down and we voting on it if we're going to add another business partner. So the contract was real structural. And I found out these other 2 people are suing him before me.
What was your reaction like when you found out, like, and of course I know you can't say your business partner's name, but what was your reaction when you found out, like, we've been scammed?
I couldn't believe it. You know, I couldn't believe it, you know, so it was a shock. It was a shock, but throughout those 3 months, and actually from the first grand opening day, I started hearing everything about this guy being a scam artist. But I was locked into a contract. I was already locked in with him. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, well, maybe this is a chance for him to change. You know, a legitimate business, making legitimate money. The restaurant started off doing great. So maybe he'll change, you know. You don't have to scam no more, you know, because I'm already locked in a contract. I'm locked in something that I can't get out of. I'm invested in it. So that's how I'm just, I guess, wishful hoping or thinking that maybe he finally come up on something that he can go straight on. But it didn't go that way, you know. It's like I was saying, from the first day from grand opening, an older lady came in the restaurant. She asked one of the waiters, she wanted to meet one of the owners or the owner of the restaurant, and I was in the back. So the waiter came and got me, and I came and met her, and I sat down with her. And he came walking down the aisleway, like behind the table that we was at. And she looked up and she saw him, and she asked me, did he have anything to do with this business? And I told her, I said, yes, ma'am, he's one of the owners. And she told me to be careful, and she told me he scammed her husband out of $80,000. This is a total stranger, older lady that I was talking to.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it kind of put my antennas up, and we kind of started knowing what we was dealing with after we was already knee deep in this situation.
Did you ever confront Darrell?
Of course. My first confrontation with him was when he first wanted to meet me to try to push out the other business partner. And I was trying to comprehend, you know, where was this coming from him? And when he was trying to push him out, he already knew that we kind of been hearing rumors about him, you know, him being a scam artist and things of that nature. And so that was the first time I bumped heads with him. And the second time I bumped heads with him again, when he kept refusing to show the financial records, the revenue, the track of everything. And that's when things got bad. And I actually called the police out at the restaurant. I had the contract in my hand, and it was getting a little edgy or whatever. And I saw where things were going, and police came out, and he actually tried to tell the officer that as if I was just a stranger walking in there to eat, as if I was just he told him I wasn't a business partner. He had no idea of what I was talking about and things of that nature.
Oh.
Yeah, he was just...
He lied right in your face.
He lied to a police officer that has to do the report, you know, of him coming out and why he had to come out. So, and he know the officer has to document this stuff. Like he just don't care. He don't care at all.
AdamandEve.com. I'm talking toys, bondage, lingerie, and so much more. Plus, they have 24/7 customer service, so you can order at 3 a.m. if you ain't coming, if you get me, okay? And if something isn't working out, you can send it back within 90 days, no hassle. And if that's not enough, you can also take pleasure in knowing that 20% of their profits goes to help fight the spread of HIV around the world. So go on ahead and log on to AdamandEve.com. Use the code TASHAK for 50% off one item plus free shipping in the U.S. and Canada. Some exclusions apply now, but hurry up and visit AdamandEve.com so they can make you come. let's put the wine down for a second, because at times like this, we need to take a shot of the olive leaf extract, because the olive leaf boosts our immune system and has been known to reverse high blood pressure, lupus, diabetes, and certain cancers. Check them out at myoliveleaf.biz to learn more and to order, or simply click the link below in the description box. Now back to the wine.
Now, there is an active investigation going. You and several other victims of Mr. Darrell Jonhson, they're going to be speaking to me. But as far as your case against him, where is that at now?
Actually, I spoke with a detective actually a few days ago, and I know they're looking to put a case together to charge him with some criminal activities or whatnot. And I spoke with the detective, and he seemed pretty confident that he had enough victims where they can actually go ahead and start filing charges against him. So
I put my own way. I do my own thing.
So I was actually flying from Philadelphia to Houston. At the time I was living in Philadelphia. My family lives here, so I was visiting my family. I connected in Atlanta, and I got on the plane, and I typically get upgraded first class because I fly a lot. And I sat down next to him. Now, when I originally sat down, I looked over, I saw him. I didn't really know who he was. I didn't recognize him at first, but he looked, he's very flashy. He's kind of loud. He lets people know that he's there. And so he was, kind of talking to different people on, the flight attendants and things like that. And he started talking to me. So I sat next to him, and we struck up a conversation. And I knew he was some kind of, at the time, I thought maybe he's a musician, athlete or something like that because of how flashy he was. And then when he started talking to me and he started mentioning what he does and that he represents R.Kelly, and then it clicked in my head who he was. And so we sat and had a conversation the entire flight. I don't typically talk to people, just strangers when I fly, but he's very talkative and he likes to talk about himself. So we talked pretty much the entire flight. That's how we met.
A grade A narcissist, huh?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So fast forward, how did we get from the plane first class to you opening or going to the bank and grabbing $22,000 to give over to him?
So on the flight, while we were having conversations, originally he was talking about his business as a crisis manager and representing R.Kelly.
I don't work for Mr. Kelly.
Who hired you?
I work for Mr. Steven Greenberg.
He mentioned a few other celebrities that he supposedly represented, and then he even mentioned some high-profile politicians. After that, he started talking about his real estate investing and investments that he's in, and just kind of in passing, I mentioned, and I mentioned that I was interested in doing more or learning more about, investing, because it's something that I haven't really gotten in. I don't have the expertise in. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't saying it in a way like I was asking him to get involved in anything. But when I said that, he said, I like to mentor young brothers like yourself. I've brought in other people on deals with me and can make money for them, and I can do the same for you. And I kind of thought about it, and we exchanged numbers. He said, hit me up if you're interested. So that's kind of how it got from just sitting there having a conversation to then talking about investing in real estate together.
Okay. Now, what were the details of the deal that you were supposed to invest $22,000 and make how much back?
He didn't really give me concrete numbers, and part of that is like I said, a lot of it was by my own naivete, I guess, and not getting more details. It was actually the $22,000 was split over 3 different investments. So initially, when I got home, we exchanged. We were going back and forth in text, and he mentioned that he had a deal that I could get in. I believe he said it was an apartment complex in LA that he was flipping.
So he said it was a quick turnaround, 60 to 90 day turnaround, and I get a decent return. He just mentioned, he said, if you want to get in on it, let me know. You gotta let me know fast. And then he asked me how much I could put in on it. Initially, I said, well, I don't have a whole lot. I said, I could do 10,000. And he said, oh, that's perfect. That's plenty. And I looked at it as, 10,000 is not, it's not a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a decent amount, but I can survive if something goes wrong.
Okay.
So he basically said, you just wire it to my account. So I turned around 2 days later, I believe, and wired it from my bank account to his.
Any contracts in place?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are a newbie. Well, I'm sure you're not anymore.
No.
Okay.
I've learned my lesson.
Okay. Let's talk about the second transaction. Because, so it was two different, you said three different.
Three different.
Okay. Let's talk about the second transaction. What did he call you back? What was the next
So deal? It was not even a week or two after the first one. He calls me and he says, I got this really hot deal. This was even better than the first one. It's even higher payout. I believe it was a gas station property that they were flipping, something to that effect. At that time, I had just given him 10, so I was like, I really can't, give you much more. And he said, can you just give me something? I said, all right, I could maybe give you, actually, I think he said, can you at least do 2,000? So I said, yeah, I could probably do 2,000. So then I transferred to 2,000. He said that was an even faster turn. That was going to be maybe 30 days max.
And he didn't tell you how much you were going to make off that deal?
I think he said like, I don't remember the exact percentage. I have everything in text, but I believe it was like a 40%
okay.
ROI or something like that.
Okay. So we're at the third transaction. Did any red flags go up by the third transaction?
I had friends, kind of, ask, hey, do you think that this guy might be scamming you? I was a little bit worried about it, but I think I hadn't gotten to the point where I was supposed to get the payout yet, and so I think right before I was supposed to get the first payout, he came to me with this third investment, and before that he had said, yeah, I'm gonna have your money probably within the next couple of weeks. So in my mind, I feel, well, I'm gonna get this money back. Then I'd feel okay, investing in the next investment.
Okay.
And then in my mind, I said, well, if I don't get this payout, then obviously maybe he's probably scamming me and I'm just out. But I kind of looked at it as, successful people take risk, and maybe this is just a risk. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I did not really think that he was scamming me at first, just because, again, because he was a public, he was a public person. I kind of felt like that would give him more credence to or credibility, as far as, I didn't think that he was a scammer, because if he was a scammer and he's a public person, that would obviously come out.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, I didn't really worry at that point, but it was after I didn't get the first payout is when I started to kind of red flags started to come.
Okay. But there was still a third transaction.
There was still a third transaction. So the third transaction was an even hotter deal. It was a big condo complex in Miami. Supposedly the NFL was going to rent it out for the Super Bowl. And this one, he said, was this at the end of the day, it would be like hundreds of thousands of dollars or something like that. And he said it was Jay-Z was in it. Other celebrities were involved in this whole complex, the investment. So in my mind, I looked at it as he can get me access to those type of people with influence and power and, you know, money. And so I could kind of, for me, it wasn't a get rich quick scheme that I was trying. Like, I was actually interested in having someone show me the ropes, kind of, and having contacts with, you know, people with influence and things like that, and kind of learning the ropes and getting more familiar with investing in that way. So, you know, it sounded good. I mean, it did sound a little bit too good to be true. But in the moment, he made it. He was very good at kind of selling that it was, you know, I had to get in on it. So I gave him another $10,000 at that point.
Okay. So fast forward, we're in 2021 now. Did you ever confront Mr. Jonhson?
I did. So basically, after I was supposed to get the first payout and then the second payout, this is maybe 3-4 months after we first met. He kept giving me these excuses of why he couldn't meet me. He couldn't pay me. He said he had the money. He had my money, but he couldn't wire it to me. He wanted to basically just give me cash, which then that threw up a red flag for me too. So he wanted to come meet me. And every time he would promise to come meet me, something would come up, whether it be one of his, you know, clients that he was representing, he had to be in court, or something happened with the plane, or it was just always something. It was always excuses. And after about 5 or 6 times, I kind of was catching on that he basically was full of it. And I caught him in a couple lies. I didn't immediately call him on it, but it had to do with, you know, him sending me pictures to prove where he was, not realizing that pictures have geotags on them of when they were taken, where they were taken, things like that. So at that point, I realized that I was being scammed, but I didn't want to let him know yet because I wanted to keep the communication going so that I could get as much information as possible. At that point is when I started doing kind of deeper dives online, because if you Google his name, really the only thing that comes up is R.Kelly. A lot of his interviews and things like that. I started digging and putting in different searches, and I think I ended up putting in his name and then scammer. And somehow I came across a page on Twitter, and someone posted a screenshot of his prior felony conviction for fraud.
That was the one for $100,000 in 2004, I believe.
Yes. So once I saw that and I saw the county, I went online and did a search of county. It's all public record. And when I did that and searched his name, a bunch of stuff came up. And so at that point, I realized I'm dealing with a professional scammer. And so I did eventually, I basically asked him, just give me my money back. I was like, you know, as far as the investment, don't worry about it. Just give me the money I gave you back. That's it. And I demanded that a couple times. I threatened that I would seek, you know, any kind of legal options I could. And he promised to pay me. I obviously never did. It was all, again, always something, and he never paid me. And so then I confronted him. I actually texted him a screenshot of the felony conviction, and I told him I know that he's a scammer. And at that point, then he stopped texting me.
How long did it take you before you got the police involved?
Couple months.
Okay.
Couple months.
Did they already like receive calls as well too, or?
Well, the first time I went to the police, I didn't really feel like they took it seriously. I filed a police report in the county that I believe or the precinct or whatever, the district that I believe he lived in. They just took basically a statement. They gave me a report, but it didn't seem like they were going to really pursue anything. It really wasn't until I recently filed with the city a police report, and I filed it in conjunction with some of the other victims that they seem to want to take it more serious.
How many more victims?
That I know of, 3 or 4.
Wow. And there's a whole Atlanta team of victims that he's scammed as well. So we're in Houston now. Who knows? We may end up in Nebraska. I don't know. Has this killed like your ambition?
It hasn't really killed my ambition. It's just made me more risk averse, and I definitely don't trust people nearly as much. And again, it makes me do my due diligence a little bit more with things, and not just immediately believe something. And I make sure that I get things in writing. I make sure that I do my research on people. But I wouldn't say it's killed it. It's just more so made me a lot more cautious.
Okay. Well, that's a relief to hear, because sometimes that can crush, especially like young people, their dreams, especially when they meet someone like that and they do have access. It's like, everybody's like this. So I'm glad that it didn't kill your ambition.
After the fact, when I found out and I did, more searching online, digging deeper, I have seen a lot more, like on Twitter, on various pages, people commenting. Like you said, I've heard people say, well, he scammed people in Atlanta, he scammed people in Chicago. So it made me realize that it wasn't just me. He's been doing this to a lot of people. And I just, I want to make sure that people out there know, so that he doesn't continue his scam. If it seems as though he finances his lavish lifestyle and his persona off of his victims. I'm sure that the $22,000 I sent him, I'm pretty sure there was never an investment. It was just the investment was going towards paying for whatever it was he was buying for himself, whether it was his jewelry, his clothes, or his car. It seems that that's kind of his MO, from what I've learned.